We are live with the final Championship Sunday of the Arena online circuit, certainly. The final qualification cup will be played out here today. We're going to have the top 4 teams from Europe, the top 4 teams from North America, and we will find our final champions before we head into LAN season. I'm HealingStat, I'm your host. We have Venruki, Supertees, and Zico on the desk for us here in Columbus, Ohio, and we will be hopping straight into the brackets so we can get to these games as soon as possible. First, we should talk about North America, since that will be happening later in the day. Obviously, Method Orange against M2KC, 2 teams that have seen success in the last couple of cups. They've been finding ways around the Rogue Mage Druid, Method Orange and M2KC, both of them able to defeat Cloud9 last week. And in the lower bracket, we're happy to see it. The move was styling a little bit, able to take down Cloud9 and get top 4 in the final cup.
Yeah, I mean, we want to see the move, go out with a stellar performance. So having them here in Championship Sunday is definitely a little treat for us later today. And like you mentioned, Method Orange, M2KC, that was the finals that went all the way to Game 7 last week. So I'm very excited for that game as well.
Yep, and of course we will be starting it off with Europe, so North America a little bit later, guys. Europe happening first, we have AWC against Method Black. 2 teams that have kind of been the dominant ones in terms of this Rogue Mage Druid meta, both of them seeing success constantly in the grand finals. Wildcard Gaming and Change My Mind. Wildcard Gaming actually defeated Change My Mind last week, and this will be our first series of the day. This is a very high impact series because these teams are currently tied for 3rd place, so the winner of this one is guaranteed to overtake the other in terms of seeding.
Yeah, and I feel like it's going to be an interesting series because we did see Wildcard Gaming start developing some momentum, even against Method Black with the Windwalker Death Knight Restoration Druid. Blizzo playing the Windwalker Monk with Serenity ended up faring well for them, so I'm curious to see if they run that against Change My Mind, and if they can figure out a solid answer against all these Rogue Mage Druids, they could end up crawling through the lower bracket and potentially taking the tournament.
Yeah, that would be really good for them. I think if they did that, it would not only would it be good for their seeding, obviously it would put them in 3rd seed going to the summer finals rather than 4th. Moreover, if we stay with this Rogue Mage meta, someone needs to have an answer. Wildcard Gaming is the team we're looking at, Method Orange is the team we're looking at, and of course the boys. These are the guys that haven't really been running that Rogue Mage composition, so if there is something that beats it, they're all paying attention.
I mean, that's what's been the rest of the later end of the summer season, has been figuring out what composition can beat Rogue Mage aside from Rogue Mage, and there's still a month in between now and the summer finals, so if I had to have a solid guess, it's probably not going to remain Rogue Mage at the top, or maybe it will be in a cycle of a meta composition, but I'm sure that there are going to be counters by then figured out by the teams, whether or not they're trying new essences. We saw compositions like Demon Hunter Death Knight that were really prevalent until teams started trying new essences, and then suddenly that composition fell off really hard. So as the teams have more time to experiment, I think that Rogue Mage is going to start to fall off.
Yeah, and it's such an information game these days, the Arena World Championship, with all the broadcasts, with kind of the scaling of the program. It means that once one team has an answer, very quickly everyone else picks it up. Like we talk about the Serenity on the Windwalker Monk. Now every Windwalker Monk's running Serenity 1 week later. The adaptation between the Resto Shaman and the Resto Druid. It has been interesting to watch the meta kind of evolve live over these weeks.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially the healers like you were talking about. Hey, we're starting to see more and more Holy Paladins, First it's M2KC been running that for the entire time, and then teams starting to realize, oh yeah, wait, that looks pretty good. Sea-Doo starts picking it up. Yesterday we saw Goreki on it as well, so I think the Holy Paladin is starting to become really, really important as well in this season.
Yeah, and we'll see how that plays out, of course. That most of the teams that are running the Holy Paladin, in North America at least, are going to be featured today. But first we've got Europe. In Europe, obviously a sea of Restoration Druids. You got Looney, you got Chaz, Mimpoike known almost exclusively for that Druid. And then, I mean, this is going to be a very interesting scenario because we're probably going to see the Rogue Mage mirrors. And Changed My Mind last week, they did have some success against Method Black. I believe they took them to Game 5. But first they're going to have to take down Wildcard Gaming, who they actually lost to the Warrior Mage versus Rogue Mage matchup.
Yeah, and we kind of saw how Warrior Mage Druid is supposed to go into Rogue Mage Druid when we saw Wildcard Gaming play against Method Black.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. It was a complete stomp in favor of Method Black. Of course, Wildcard Gaming then had to switch up their composition to the Windwalker Death Knight Restoration Druid, and they were finding some success. They almost managed to reverse sweep Method Black, and I feel like for a blind pick, that would be a solid option for Wildcard Gaming. We'll definitely have to see. The gates are going to be opening here soon in game number 1 between Change My Mind and Wildcard Gaming. I think more than likely we're going to see Change My Mind lock in the Rogue Mage Druid, and yeah, it is going to be that Windwalker Death Knight. Wildcard Gaming, like I said, if they can somehow figure out an answer for Rogue Mage Druid, they can easily take the whole tournament. I feel like a well-played Windwalker Death Knight, and obviously they are a well-played Windwalker Death Knight, can take a series against Rogue Mage Druid. They might not necessarily be favored, but you have a really good shot.
Well, this is our final Championship Sunday here in the summer season. The final online cup will be played out today for the entirety of 2019 at the Arena World Championship. And this is for seeding. Wildcard Gaming versus Change My Mind, both of them currently tied. The winner of this will go through to the 3rd seed in Europe, meaning they should get an easier seeding in North America when we do head over to the summer finals.
Looney the target here early on for Change My Mind, but he is in bear form. He's prepared for the attack, and having reduced a significant amount of damage as a result, activating Iron Bark immediately after escaping the stun. Acro still keeping him at low health. Fried Kitty looking to reset that frozen orb as soon as possible for another push. Change My Mind seem more than content of just training down Looney. Blizzo's going to pull back and try and support and force Acro away. Securing a double leg sweep, Looney should have more than enough time to stabilize.
Yeah, and there's going to be Serenity coming in from Blizzo as he goes after Minpoike, trying to get some work done. Minpoike, we saw him fall quite often yesterday, or on, Friday. We'll see if Zeepai and Blizzo can try to capitalize on that situation. Right now, Minpoike is really struggling. Safeguard procs, Barkskin, Iron Bark, all going to be traded out, but now that Blizzo has sort of been forced away, going after Acro, I think Minpoike is going to be completely fine.
Yeah, we're going to see now a smoke bomb attempt here onto Blizzo. He's not going to choose to use his trinket to get out of that one. Full blind on Looney. He's going to trinket out of that one. Safeguard procs gets dispelled by Fried Kitty. A little bit of trouble here for Blizzo. Touch of Death is active on Acro. He has the feint, but it should still go through that. Not too much damage going to come out of that one. Now Blizzo and Zeepai going for Fried Kitty, and Looney actually getting swapped to, but Fried Kitty is really late here with the connect. I don't think Looney's gonna be in too much trouble here. Safeguard might proc for him. And the magic zone actually nicely done here by Zeepai.
Yeah, nice play there by Zeepai. Beautiful cyclone from Minpoike over onto Looney, pausing his health, waiting for the next stun. If he can get follow-up cyclones, he does. This could be a great situation. Acrolol's currently caught up in the disarm, though I think it was a little bit early there from Blizzo since his healer was crowd controlled. Looks like Looney should be able to get away without the Barksy and without the Trinket. He's definitely an exposed target that Change My Mind could look to kill.
Yeah, they managed to punish Minpoike a little bit. They got his Barkskin, and now Minpoike, he's got to think twice before pushing in. You can see Blizzo has got his Serenity up. With that cooldown available, it's going to be danger time for Minpoike. Blizzo taking a little bit of burst right now. Looney reacts with the Iron Bark. And when we normally see this matchup play out, it does take a little bit of dampening for it to end, barring mistakes. And I feel like both teams, they kind of realize going for the standard play of going after the Windwalker Monk and going after the Frost Mage is kind of one of those plays where it's not going to work until later on. So I like the fact that both teams are going after the Restoration Druid. That is one of those X factors in a match where you can take a Druid down if he doesn't rotate his cooldowns properly, if his teammates don't help him out. If they make mistakes, that's going to be the most vulnerable target.
Both teams focused on denying each other's Druids from drinking. Zeepai going to be sending his Ghoul after Minpoike. He's going to have to be micromanaging that pet to make sure that Minpoike doesn't slip away and drink. Definitely need to be aware of when Shadow Meld is used, as Minpoike can drop combat from that Ghoul and then re-stealth for a drink quite quickly. Zeepai going to stun up Minpoike and try and go after him on a solo mission. Blizzo is going after Fried Kitty, a split damage strategy by Wildcard Gaming. This is a great way to run a Restoration Druid out of mana, as Life Bloom is one of the most powerful heal over time effects for the class, and it can only be applied to one player at a time. And if you're running the focus growth, you're going to have to stack it up 3 times. So by splitting your damage, you can force the Druid to switch Life Bloom frequently. Although Change My Mind seemed to be shaking off the attack, Minpoike avoiding contact by just using travel form and hiding away from Zeepai. Change My Mind setting up another swap to Looney, dropping him fairly low through Barkskin and Anti-Magic Zone. A bit of an overlap, however, trading effectively for the Vendetta, and perhaps an overlap that is necessary. Wildcard Gaming not looking to throw early on. Now they switch back over to Blizzo. Safeguard procs onto him. Fried Kitty going to be able to Kleptomania spell steal it instantly, removing an important defense here for Blizzo to recover. Looney is afraid of getting blinked counterspelled right now. He's going for regrowth. Bold cast by Looney. In the meantime, Zeepai is smashing Minpoike.
Oh, full sheep here onto Blizzo's Serenity. Nicely done by Fried Kitty. He's going to shut down that offensive cooldown. Touch of Death now being committed onto Acro as well. Fist of Fury. Channeled out Looney actually with the bash. That's going to force out every man for himself from Acro, so he won't have his human racial. He could go down in a stun a little bit later on. And Fried Kitty also used his human racial about a minute ago on a bash from Looney. So Looney right now has been forcing out 2 trinkets with the last 2 bashes. And the next time Blizzo wants to go for a leg sweep, either of those targets could be in big trouble. Blizzo now, though, on the back foot, and Zeepai has to use his anti-magic shell here to avoid some of those polymorphs and cyclones that Mimpoike and Fried Kitty are spamming out. Mimpoike was looking for a drink, but Zeepai, he's just trying to keep his diseases up on Mimpoike to prevent that from happening. Now Zeepai is getting targeted behind the pillar. Mimpoike looking for the drink here, but Looney is also keeping tabs on him.
Yeah, Looney's doing a good job. Looney did manage to sit down for a little bit of mana there, meaning that he has the lead, though as we know, the later this game goes, that's when it's really going to start adding up. So Mimpoike a little bit behind right now, though honestly, I do feel like the Rogue Mage still has the advantage in this matchup. I know that we've seen it go either way, but I get the feeling that Zeepai is going to be a significant weakness as it does continue to stack up in this particular game. It seems like Mimpoike and Fried Kitty haven't really been tested. Some of the healers yesterday, when we did see the Rogue Mage, they were down to kind of 40-30% dampening, so 40-30% mana, sorry, as the game started to hit dampening. But Mimpoike, even without really getting drinks, has managed to keep his mana high. He's not overhealing. He's acting appropriately in this situation, and his team is definitely the one that has a slight lead as we do approach those stages.
Yeah, I mean, the lead is going to be nice. Wildcard Gaming, Looney does manage to get his mana up, and that's going to put them in a nice spot, as dampening is only at 8% right now. Normally these matchups last until 30-40% dampening, and that's when Zeepai is going to be a significant target here for Change My Mind, and that's what they're playing for. If they can play for the long game, if they can stall it out, not take any risks. I have to agree with Healing Stat or Adrian that I really feel like the Rogue Mage Druid still has a bit of an edge in this matchup. But if Change My Mind makes any mistakes, if they fall behind, if Mimpoike and Acro overlap cooldowns, that's when we can see Blizzo and Zeepai really punish in that situation, and they can get aggressive and they can easily take down. I feel like Acro probably is their best target. If they can force out an evasion later on with Serenity, it's really difficult for him to survive.
Ring of Peace misses. Blizzo not able to stop Mimpoike from drinking. That is going to be devastating for Wildcard Gaming throughout the rest of this match, as it will allow Change My Mind a longer leash to make it to that 30 and 40% dampening range for the swap to Zeepai on that Death Knight. Of course, a lot more difficult to kill Blizzo on the Windwalker, as his mobility will be very tricky to get around. Looney more likely to die, but even still, you'll have Blizzo and Zeepai to support him. Just much easier to kill the Death Knight, a very stationary target, although pre-30% dampening with a lot of significant healing from Death Strike, it's not really possible for the Rogue Mage Druid to kill him, which is why I changed my mind. Focused more on drinks, crowd control, some cheeky attempts at Looney's life to try and force some mistakes, but really not overcommitting, playing for the safe strategy towards that 30 and 40% range. As Change My Mind did lose to Wildcard Gaming last week, I'm certain that they want to enhance their performance, so running for this safer strategy, I think, is the correct line of play.
Yeah, and Looney is a little bit behind on mana, but as we enter deeper and deeper dampening, I think Looney is actually going to be expending less mana than Mimpoike. Now we see Blizzo with that Serenity finally getting a Fist of Fury out here. A lot of damage here onto Fried Kitty from this cooldown. Mimpoike is going to have to burn through a lot of mana to keep him alive, and that was the blind from Acrolos over onto Looney, traded out his trinket for that. Zeepai is, from this on forward, going to be the target for Change My Mind here. Looney is looking for a drink, but Mimpoike actually applies the Moonfire right before he gets around that corner, which refreshes his combat, which means he can't drink for another about 7 seconds, so he is not going to go for that at all. But Mimpoike now taking huge damage here with Touch of Death. Double Barkskin activated. Is he going to survive here, Adrian?
Yeah, it's looking okay for him. We did see the Safeguard proc, Defensive Smoke Bomb, a lot of tools being traded out by Change My Mind, but I respect that. I feel like that was a good reaction. It's going to be hard for him to catch Mimpoike once again here. Tranquility up. He's just trying to top his team, stabilize them. 24% dampening, and Zeepai is running a little bit low on defensives here. Acro could be a target, though without any offensives from Blizzo. I still feel like the game is slightly in favor of Change My Mind. Looney's pushing in. He's trying to get some crowd control on Mimpoike. Unlikely that he's playing the Cyclone talent, though, so no follow-up. Acroloz is taking a fair bit of damage, though. He might have to respect this with the evasion.
I mean, it's looking like it. And if he has to trade out evasion, he's only got the Vanish left. And this is the point of the game where Mimpoike is going to start struggling. But the problem is, you leave Fried Kitty open, he's able to get out a lot of damage. A Blink Counterspell on Looney. Zeepai getting lower and lower. He trades out the anti-magic zone, but I think it's going to be way too late. That should surely be the game Acro lands the cheap shot. Zeepai keeping himself alive with some death strikes, but that full polymorph, there is absolutely no way Zeepai survives. And I have to say, I feel like for Change My Mind, their weakness is against other mage druids, but against everything else, they look just as good, if not better, than the other rogue mages. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I feel like as the rogue mage druid, it's actually easier to play into melee cleaves because you can just control the game, right? There's no mage to rival you. You just walk to the enemy healer and crowd control him for days, and they do a great job of that. Like, Minpoike's been doing such a good job with the low cyclones when he's unrivaled. People do attack him, though, and we saw that in the game. I think his reactions were very good, and Change My Mind, they just had a really clean game here. It didn't even look close.
Yeah, it just looks like we talked about it last time they played. Change My Mind is just this team that on their good days they just look like the best team ever, but then on their bad days they make really big blunders. And this game looked like the good Change My Mind here, because there really wasn't many openings for Wildcard Gaming. And Wildcard Gaming, they've been playing out this Windwalker DK really well. They had a lot of pressure onto Acro. They had, you know, some decent pressure onto Fried Kitty, good swaps to Minpoike, but Minpoike did a really good job surviving those and deflecting those attacks and not pushing in without his bark skin or anything like that. And Fried Kitty as well, when he was left alone, he just did so much damage. Blink counterspell secured, Frozen Orb dropped, he's getting the flurry combos. And Acro here is actually going for a sap onto Looney out of that counterspell. A bit of an old school play there, but Looney did refresh his combat. You can still do so with your melee attacks, and I believe the Moonfire as well when you're locked on natures. So Looney did a good job staying in combat in that situation, but still a nice attempt from Acro, and instead he's going to go for the cheap shot. They're going to secure the polymorph, and that's it.
Yeah, no, it was a very good game there from Change My Mind, and this is what we talk about, right? Like, Method Black yesterday, Wildcard Gaming thought they might have something. They went 2-1 in the specific matchup, almost managing to reverse the series, but every rogue mage has a little flavor different, and I think that's one of the things these teams need to realize. Like, Wildcard Gaming, I was actually thinking in the blind, they should lock the Warrior Mage Druid, because that works better into Change My Mind, but the cleaves, it seems like Change My Mind just beat. They're really good against those matchups.
Yeah, now that they've lost the blind pick, that means that Change My Mind will know, should this go to a game number 5, when Wildcard Gaming are sending the Warrior Mage Druid their way. I think maps are going to play a big deal as well. I think if we go to smaller maps, then obviously the Windwalker Death Knight's going to stand a better chance. They can close the game out before we get to that 30-40% range. It's easier to stop drinks. There was one point in that game where Blizzo was 1 centimeter, 1 inch away from stopping Minpoike from drinking, and he got full mana from that. If he didn't have that, then perhaps they would have had momentum to push Change My Mind back, but because he did, they didn't have any opening. So it's very important for them as the Windwalker Death Knight to stop Minpoike from drinking at all costs, build their momentum from 10 to 20% dampening, and hopefully have Change My Mind so far behind that they can't push back to kill Zeepai. If they can't create that situation, then they do just get to a point where Zeepai is the Death Knight, stuck in one spot, while Rogue Mage is dancing and laughing at him at 40% dampening. So it requires a lot of things systematically in an order for them to be able to pull it off, but on smaller maps, it's obviously achievable.
Yeah, and this was actually a really early kill as well. I think it was only 30% dampening when the Death Knight ended up going down. But I mean, being real, like yesterday we saw it going to 45, 50% dampening. That's when, and that's where the Windwalker DK needs to put the Rogue Mage, right? They need to put them in a position where Fried Kitty isn't just teeing off and getting all his damage out the entire time, where Acro is having to run away rather than doing damage. And if they can't get that counter pressure, then the Rogue Mage just wins. We've seen it time and time again. Yeah, just speaking about winning that game 1 advantage for Change My Mind, I feel like they're never going to change their composition. Yeah, right? It's likely it's a big deal. We just see them stick with the Rogue Mage Druid the entire time. But I think for Wildcard Gaming, it's going to be important. You know, we've seen them in the past lock in Blade's Edge Arena, and that's a really good map for the Warrior Mage Druid. And I think it's likely that that's where we're going to go, because like you said, that game did not feel good. It's kind of strange, but all the Rogue Mage Druids are good in their own way. Yeah. Change My Mind, it seems like at this point, they're the worst in the mirror match, but in these other matchups against, you know, some of these cleave setups like, you know, the Windwalker Death Knight, they're looking even better than Method Black. And I mean, that's one of the things about this team. On a good day, they look phenomenal. On a bad day, questionable, but today it's looking like they're playing really well. I think that's the thing about Change My Mind, and I talk to Fried Kitty a lot. He basically says that, like, when the team is doing well, like, it's fine, right? And we've actually seen them rival Method Black and defeating all of these top teams. But when things are going badly, like he said, if they lose one game, then it's over, you know? Like, here they're going to have a fantastic start. This was probably the cleanest victory they can get. And maybe they can, you know, rival Dablus, rival Method Black on a day like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's very likely that we get to see it because, you know, Diablos and Method Black, one of them is going to get knocked down and face whoever wins this. Right now, Change My Mind looks to be the team that is going to be able to do that because, like you guys already mentioned, they won the blind, and compositionally, that doesn't really mean much. But in terms of maps, I think maps have a really big way in this series because, you know, on the bigger maps, it's just going to favor Change My Mind so much. It's going to be so hard for them to stop the drinks. It's going to be so hard for Zeepai and Blizzo to get that pressure, but not impossible. They did beat Method Black on Tolveron last week with the Windwalker DK, so Wildcard Gaming is still not out of it yet. And the worst part for them, I think, is if they do get fourth, they're most likely going to go against Rogue Mage Druid in Cloud9 or Mew Mew Kitty Cat, so or Rogue Mage Paladin / Rogue Mage Druid. So either way, it feels like Wildcard Gaming are
they're going to need something for Rogue Mage. Yeah, exactly. Even if whatever happens there, they're going to have to beat Rogue Mage, let's be honest, right? You've got 3 Rogue Mages coming from Europe. You've got 2 Rogue Mages coming from North America. You are going to have to beat Rogue Mage to win the summer finals, most likely, barring, you know, huge meta shifts, which we don't really expect. Wildcard Gaming here, they're trying to find a solution. They've been close a couple of times, but they haven't really found something. And that's why I want to ask the question. With Method Orange, they actually did play the Shaman version. Would you like to see Wildcard Gaming experimenting and dabbling in that a little bit?
Absolutely. I feel like the Shaman's really strong. I mean, in the late game, you have those big cooldowns you can rely on. The Ascendance, one of the best healing cooldowns in the entire game, as well as the Spirit Link Totem. If your Shaman and your Windwalker Monk are full health and your Death Knight is in danger zone, basically, you can trade the Spirit Link Totem, keep him nice and healthy, and then you can make that offensive push with the Purges, and that's when the Druid really does fall behind. You can also defend against Polymorphs a lot better with the Grounding Totem and the Wind Shear. I feel like the Shaman is really strong. I mean, there's some scary moments, and of course, I feel like their healing overall is a little bit lower, but deep and dampening, that's when we've seen Shaman really accelerate. I mean, yesterday we saw the move literally bring a game to, what, 80% dampening with the Restoration Shaman. So if you play it smart, you play it right, and then you push for that end game, you know, deep and dampening, that's when you really accelerate as the Restoration Shaman. I feel like for Wildcard Gaming, I mean, we do know Looney plays Restoration Shaman. I don't know how much he's been practicing it, but he beat me at BlizzCon with it. He beat you with it. So,
true.
I mean, this is a guy who's been playing it for a really long time. He excels, and I really would like to see Wildcard Gaming start experimenting with it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something we've said about Wildcard Gaming in the past, is that these guys, we don't doubt for a second that they are phenomenal players, but they are a little bit slow to experiment. I remember we talked to Blizzo one of the events last year, and he was saying that he actually got frustrated with the picks that Looney and Zeepai would do because they would just be like, well, we can't win anyways, we're just going to keep playing the same composition, and they were hitting their heads against a brick wall, it almost felt like. Whereas we've seen that when they do adapt, when they even take strategies from other teams, they're good enough to win those matchups.
Yeah, they're taking a long time to lock in, which makes me wonder if they're going to stick with the Windwalker Death Knight. It would make a lot of sense going to Hook Point. If it was Blades Edge Arena, then I would be gambling whether or not Wildcard Gaming are going to stay with the Windwalker Death Knight. It could be that they are trying to consider Restoration Druid, Restoration Shaman, opting to go with the Restoration Druid. I feel like Looney's probably spent more time on Druid over these past couple expansions than Shaman. Not to say that he wouldn't be capable of playing it, but Mr. Pandaria was a pretty long time away, and I don't know if we've really seen him grinding his Shaman that hard.
A little bit, yeah, not like Druid, for sure.
Druid has been definitely, I would consider him a Druid main at this point over how many years he's been playing. It's an okay pick, and the map is good. They just need to keep their eyes open, stop Minpoke from drinking, and then get on track to build their momentum so that Zeepai doesn't become a sitting duck.
I feel like
they should take it.
I feel like I want to ask you guys this question because yesterday when we saw the boys play Windwalker Death Knight Resto Druid into Rogue Mage Druid, we saw Gorecki play really aggressive. Like, it feels like if you're the Windwalker Death Knight, you're not going to win by just, you know, sitting back and just doing damage. You really do have to get aggressive. You have to make plays, and I feel like that's one thing I'd like to see Looney do a little bit more is, you know, push in, try to get stuns on him in Poke. Of course, it's going to be a little bit risky, but when they're doing those all-in attempts, if you can get an extra stun off, a little bit more damage with the Feral Affinity, that can be something that can easily win your team the game. And I mean, that's what we saw yesterday from Gorecki. Potentially, that's what we need to see from Wildcard Gaming as well.
I think he's playing Moonkin Affinity though in these matches.
Well,
yeah.
Maybe that's not the right answer. I mean,
yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, the Feral Affinity is definitely risky, right? Like, of course it is. You're going to expose yourself in terms of positioning. You lose the Guardian Affinity if you wanted to play that. Moonkin Affinity even's more safe, right? Because you're going to have better positioning. But at the same time, I feel like you lose the late game without pressure.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're not... as the Windwalker Death Knight, you just lose if you're not going to, get aggressive and take risks. For the Rogue Mage Druid, all I have to do is sit back, wait for dampening, and kill your DK. And if you don't have enough damage to force them back or force them defensive or land a kill, then you're just waiting to lose, in my mind. So I feel like being a little risky is way better.
All right, let's see if they can take the risk here. I think Feral Affinity definitely was a big reason why Gurecki was able to win. Of course, the teams are making their own kind of micro decisions in terms of build, and those micro decisions can add up to winning or losing a game. So definitely a consideration that Looney should take. The Balance Affinity, great for avoiding Polymorph, as you can cast Regrowth and Cyclone while being immune to Polymorph, but you lose out on a ton of extra damage and an extra stun from the Feral Affinity. Of course, Looney also the target quite a lot for Change My Mind, whereas did we really see Gurecki tested when he was the target with the Feral Affinity? Blizzo there to save the day, stunning Acro as soon as he stuns Looney. Perfect defense on Blizzo's part. Certainly why I gave him MVP DPS. Not only capable of dishing out tons of damage, but also there to support his team when necessary. Fried Kitty the target, however, Temporal Shield is absorbing all of this damage and will heal him back to full shortly. Now Fried Kitty looking to get aggressive on top of Looney. We see Change My Mind with the same strategy as in game 1. Attack Looney for about the first minute to 3 minutes, and then at that point try and set up drinks for the late game to kill the Death Knight.
I really don't like what Blizzo does sometimes. He'll come back and try to just solo Acro with Serenity, but all Acro has to do is feint, and then it's essentially a completely wasted Serenity. I really feel like the key to getting aggressive in this matchup is you trade out Serenity, you try to take down Fried Kitty, even if they survive with Temporal Shield and Ironbark, that's when you trade out the Touch of Death, and that's when you can try to get a kill. I feel like with the way he's splitting out his offensive cooldowns, he's really missing out on offensive capabilities in this match.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, but like Acro is just training Looney as well, so I think it's kind of a defensive play as well, where he's trying to pressure Acro to get off of him. But I do agree with you, he can do that without committing his cooldowns. But likewise, Acro is really good at Rogue. He's not gonna just waste his feint if it's just a regular fist, I think. Actually, Feint is a lower cooldown than Fist of Fury, so I think you can just trade it out for every single Fist of Fury, no matter what, if he pops cooldowns or not. So it's a little bit of a tricky situation, but maybe it is better defense to just counter pressure than to go back and try to help Looney. Looney this time around is actually going to sit through the blind here. Acro going for a restuff. He does get it. He gets the Garrote Silence onto Looney, but not much else. Zipai in a Nova. Fried Kitty in a little bit of trouble here. Acro with that Chains of Ice hasn't been doing anything for the last 20 seconds. Now Shadow Step Kidney on Blizzo on his Serenity here. That Smoke Bomb is not going to net them anything. I mean, that was definitely a defensive Kidney. Fried Kitty didn't even have Frozen Orb as well. I don't see the big reason to dropping a Smoke Bomb on that one, but still going to try to get some pressure in favor of Change My Mind. Poike was looking for a drink there, but not able to find it, and now he got stunned, swapped to, and had to use his Trinket there. So big opening coming up for Blizzo in about 45 seconds when he has Touch of Death and Serenity.
Yeah, we talked about him in Poike. I was like super happy with his defensive cooldown usage last game. I feel like there he overly respected the threat, maybe just because he had drank, he thought he was behind on hot, so he wanted to drink it. But now, as you say, Touch of Death's up almost, Serenity's up soon. There is definitely an opening for Wildcard to take a quick tie here, bringing our series to 1-1. If they can just catch Mimpoike, that is. You can see Looney is actually positioning, so the perfect setup here would be an in-cap onto Mimpoike. Blizzo rolls over, and then Looney's there with the follow-up stun off of the leg sweep. Let's see if they can set it up. It is a small map. Blizzo teleports over. Here's the in-cap. Catches him out of form. This is the setup Wildcard we're looking for.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if they can do it. There's all the damage rolling in from Blizzo, but a lot of peels coming in from Fried Kitty. Cheap shot on Blizzo, polymorph on Blizzo, kidney shot on Blizzo, polymorph on Blizzo. And it looks like Mimpoike will be able to survive. That's that Rogue Mage Druid peels really coming in. And I feel like Wildcard Gaming could have set that up a lot better. I feel like that setup was a little bit rushed. Blizzo put Paralysis on Mimpoike and then leg swept, and during his leg sweep put up Touch of Death and pop Serenity. So he basically got one global of damage in that stun. I think it's a lot better to Touch of Death, Serenity, then use the leg sweep. So I really feel like there's a bit of mismanagement in terms of offense for Wildcard Gaming right now, but it is really difficult against a top tier Rogue Mage Druid, and you kind of got to take advantage of the situations that come your way. But I still feel like the min-maxing in damage and setup potential isn't there right now for Wildcard Gaming, if I'm honest.
Blizzo playing solid defense as Looney sits through some crowd control. Zeepai going to disrupt the chain and get Wildcard Gaming back on track to attack Fried Kitty. Looney jumping in, stunning him up, but Acro looks to punish, stunning Looney in the reversal. Zeepai grips Minpoike into the fight. All 6 members of the team being put into the brawl here on Hook Point at this point in time. Looney only having to trade Barkskin, however, was not Vendetta. A powerful cooldown in the banks, waiting in the wings. Acro likely to use Blind shortly to try and bait Looney's Trinket for a swap later on. I'm curious to see when Acro decides to commit this Blind, or if he's going to save it to line up with the Vendetta and try and kidney shot the Trinket. It could be an all-in attempt to kill Looney here shortly, as Acro sits patiently for it.
Yeah, and look at Minpoike and Zeepai. Minpoike is just line of sighting Zeepai, trying to not get those diseases on him so he can sit down and drink. And they're both essentially just running around that pillar there. But Zeepai's going to abandon that push, go after Acro. Now he gets polymorphed, gets dispelled, re-polymorphed. And typically what happens here is that he also gets cycloned. Unfortunately for him, Minpoike was not there. Fortunately for him, Minpoike wasn't there. Now we see a kidney shot onto Looney. Not too much pressure coming out of this one, but Vendetta was committed. Zeepai's going to trade his anti-magic zone for that. And when you do these swaps, at least Blizzo is in crowd control. It's kind of a defensive offense when they go for these plays onto Looney. They make sure that Looney is a Trinket. He expends a lot of mana here. He's actually dropping quite low. Safeguard's going to proc. Iron Bark committed there as well. Fried Kitty with the Frozen Orb. Full kidney shot here.
Dead.
He might actually just go down here. I don't think so. The preemptive Iron Bark plus the Bark Skin is going to be enough here to keep Looney alive. But if he didn't pre-bark that stun, I'm pretty sure he would have just fall over right there. So nicely done there by Changed My Mind to find that opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like Blizzo must have off-healed him a fair bit because that setup looked really good. I think Fried Kitty got the Kleptomania on the Safeguard and all the hots, and then they got the kidney shot. So preemptive Iron Bark from Looney, obviously a nice play, but I was still surprised to see him not really take any damage in that stun. 10% dampening now. Both teams are starting to struggle. Minpoike's mana is looking good. They still have ice blocks. The smaller map will make it more challenging for Change My Mind. So I do feel like they are at less of an advantage than in Game 1. But with that said, they are generating good pressure over onto Looney. Again, no Barkskin, no Trinket. I think at some point they will have to give up the pursuit though, because it's going to enable Blizzo and Zeepai to do too much damage. Minpoike taking the back end of that right now. Looks like he should be able to get away. They're going to have to start going after Zeepai. He uses AMS there. About 20% dampening. I'd love to see them start going through those cooldowns a little bit more, force out the Lich Pawn and look for the kill.
Yeah, we'll see. Minpoike could still be in a little bit of trouble, but the smoke bomb drops down. Acro and Fried Kitty getting some damage rolling on Zeepai. Looney behind the pillar. Maybe wants to get out of combat and look for a drink. It's unlikely on this small map he'll be able to do so. Fried Kitty drops a Blizzard to shut down that drink opportunity. Looney now repositioning. I still feel like at this point, if he can sneak away for a drink, if either one of these Druids can sneak away for a drink, it will put them in a really advantageous position at around 7 minutes and 40 seconds in the game. Acro, Zeepai, Fried Kitty, Blizzo, they're all looking stable in the midfield. This is the Abomination from Zeepai, but caught in a Frost Nova, it's not going to be doing too much.
The entire match pivots on whether or not Minpoike can find a drink and regenerate mana. However, Hook Point is a difficult map to do so, which was why it was correctly locked in for Wildcard Gaming. As long as they can stay on top of Minpoike and develop some momentum here in roughly the next minute or two before we get to 20% or 30% dampening, they will be able to push Change My Mind back. But if they can't build any momentum, they can't burn down the rest of Minpoike's mana, then Zeepai on that Death Knight is going to eventually become a liability, and Change My Mind would then move to match point, and Wildcard Gaming would lose their best map. Certainly Wildcard Gaming cannot afford that, but we already see Zeepai falling behind with a counterspell onto Looney, a polymorph onto Blizzo. Zeepai isolated and terrified, trading the anti-magic shield on top of the Iron Bark, so multiple cooldowns forced in one singular assault from Change My Mind. Minpoike, from my point of view, has more than enough mana to take this, and I'm not thinking that the Druid Windwalker Death Knight is going to work for Wildcard Gaming today.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Minpoike is just going to be expending a lot more mana if they can keep the pressure up here on the Fried Kitty. Blizzo actually did a really nice paralyze there, double leg sweep earlier on to shut down one of these crowd control chains out of a cheap shot. Blizzo now, this is what we're talking about. There's Serenity, there's a touch of death, gets Cyclone on it, unfortunately. And you can tell Blizzo right now, he wants to trinket out of that Cyclone so badly and deal that devastation, but unfortunately, but since he used his paralyze earlier, he's not going to have that now. But Fried Kitty, in a lot of pressure here. Temporal Shield's going to be active. Minpoike is spamming out the regrowths. And this is what I'm talking about. I think that Minpoike is going to be expending a lot of mana, but the Ever-Rising Tide there, proccing so much from Minpoike, is actually going to keep his mana nice and healthy for now. But again, Cyclone's getting casted out. This time Blizzard does have a paralyze for it. He's going to shut that down. Another Ever-Rising Tide proc for Minpoike. And Looney's actually the one going out of mana here. Fried Kitty now in a full leg sweep. Surely this should be an ice block.
I mean, maybe. There's no cooldowns available. It looks like Minpoike is doing a good job healing him up. The Safeguard does proc. They should have a nice barrier available momentarily. You can see that the Temporal Shield is also rotating back up. Looks like he should be all right for now. Zeepai, I think, is the one that we're worried about. 31% dampening. That's roughly when he died last game. So suddenly it's looking a bit better for Wildcard Gaming. A big part of that, of course, is just the counter pressure on Fried Kitty due to the map. They can't kite so easily for Change My Mind here. 33% dampening. Looney trades out Trinket. He has no Iron Bark. The next cheap shot, the next Mighty Bash, any stun from the side of Change My Mind could easily secure the game. Beautiful low cyclones coming in from Minpoike. Blizzo denies any follow-up. Acrolol's the main target. Uses Smoke Bomb. Does have Vanish available. And I think when he has to use that Vanish, he's going to use it both defensively and offensively to get CC on Looney and win the game.
I think that's true. But Minpoike and Acro in trouble. A nice sap coming in from Macro on the Looney. Now Zeepai's in trouble. The preemptive anti-magic shell. He's got the anti-magic zone if he needs it. Ring of Peace denies the follow-up Cyclone. Nicely done there by Blizzo, but Minpoike finds it. He gets the crowd control. Zeepai in trouble. He's trying to tank through a lot of this damage with his anti-magic zone. A nice grip into leg sweep on Acro. Maybe Minpoike can escape. Zeepai's still going to be really low, and I just don't know how Looney's going to be able to keep him alive. Right now, he's staying stable with the Iron Bark, but after that fades, I feel like Change My Mind. They're going to have so much pressure on Zeepai. Wildcard Gaming, they need to try to find an opening. Fried Kitty's getting really low. He doesn't want to greet it. Temporal Shield is rolling. He's got both ice blocks. Also rolling over. He's got the Touch of Death. Is he going to trade it out? This is the Iron Bark. What is he saving it for? Maybe an all-in on Acro, but I feel like right now, Wildcard Gaming, they're running out of time.
All right, let's see if Wildcard Gaming can close it out. 10 seconds left to Looney's Iron Bark. Minpoike is almost completely out of mana at half health. This is the momentum that Wildcard Gaming need, but at the same time, Change My Mind are still packing the heat, going after Zeepai, getting the Gladiator Safeguard spell, stealing it off with Zeepai on the run, but a Frozen Orb is cutting off his path to escape. Fried Kitty moving to the right side, Acro moving into clothesline as well. Looney's almost completely out of mana. His Iron Bark is going to fade, and this is not guaranteed victory to either side at this point. However, I would start to lean in favor of Change My Mind. Ray of Frost fully channeled, big damage from Fried Kitty. Acro wanting to connect, but Blizzo keeping him at bay for now. Gripping Acro in for a stun, but Acro is going to trinket that immediately. Try to finish this. Counterspell on Looney. The counterspells from Fried Kitty have been fantastic. Blind on Looney. He trinkets that. Is there any crowd control to catch him on that trinket? Doesn't look like it, but even without being crowd controlled, Zeepai is struggling to recover all of his runic power going into Death Strike, which is reduced by 46%. Lichborn going to trade Zeepai to make a push.
Acro
getting stunned up. Blizzo with Touch of Death rolling, trinketing out of Polymer. Blizzo getting aggressive. He knows his team is on the clock to close. Minpoike denies that opening with Iron Bark, and it seems like Change My Mind have regenerated mana, but where's Looney amidst all this? I think he was drinking, but he gets sapped. That's going to cost him the game.
Good game.
He needed to get mana. He tried to risk it, but he got punished by Acro, and Zeepai will fall as a result. Change My Mind, move to match point.
Well, you talked about it a little bit last game, Zico. Acrolos was able to pull that flavor, the counterspell into the Vanish the first time, into the sap, and then there at the very end, punishing the drink with yet another sap. Beautiful plays from Acro. He secures them game 2.
Yeah, really, really nice performance by Acro. I was a little bit skeptical towards the end of there because he wasn't going for those kidney shots on basically as soon as they were ready, but he was kind of biding his time there. He got the kidney shot on the Zeepai, then he ran back as soon as that Lichborn was used, and then he was able to find that sap, and I think, yeah, this is the counterspell. Is this the counterspell sap here? No. So this was after the counterspell sap, so Looney gets trinkets the blind there, and then he gets all of his healing over time effects over onto Zeepai, and then he starts looking for the drink right here, and Acro drops the kidney shot, and then Looney actually dispels Zeepai there, and Acro gets caught up in that leg sweep here, and this was after he trinketed Blizzo with that Serenity, gets polymorphed on his trinket, so Fried Kitty really preventing a lot of damage from being traded here on Acro. Finds the sap right there, and when Looney is trying to drink, and then of course he reconnects on his target with that Garrote cheap shot, and that is it for Zeepai. So not only does he get the sap there, but he waits a little bit before he gets that sap off, and then that resets his stun DR as well on Zeepai. So Zeepai used his Lichborn to get out of the previous stun. Now if he stunned right away after that, it would have been, you know, a half stun, a half cheap shot. Instead he waits a little bit longer, gets the Garrote and the full cheap shot as well. Nicely done.
Yeah, very nicely done there by Change My Mind in general. I think Minpoike, Fried Kitty and Acrolos all had a solid performance. They're 2-0 up against Wildcard Gaming, and they're looking like they will take the number 3 seed here in Europe. 2-0 it stands between Change My Mind and Wildcard Gaming. It's looking like the answer that Wildcard Gaming we were quite promised for yesterday isn't working against Minpoike and his team here. It's a 2-0 favor, 1 game away from locking in that top 3 at the summer finals for the European region. I think that's a fitting spot considering, you know, the Change My Mind have been so good on the Rogue Mage this season. Composition's been very strong and they've been playing it out well. I think for Wildcard we'd like to see them just try the Warrior Mage if they're not going to go for a more aggressive variant of this Windwalker Death Knight.
Yeah, I mean, it's either the Shaman that's not been tried from Wildcard Gaming, or the interesting.
Oh,
Changed my mind, actually going for the Holy Paladin Shadow Priest Rogue. So this is the comp that we saw them run at Spring Finals, and it did really good work into the Windwalker DK, and they were able to, you know, kind of surprise everybody with this composition. So it's a pretty nice pick here from them, but I think we might see Maro on that mage here as an answer to this, since this is basically a preemptive counter to some of the cleaves that Wildcard's been running.
They're already winning against the
Cleaves. Yeah, that's the weird thing. I mean, on Friday we talked about Daedalus experimenting a little bit. Then we found out that Alec wasn't playing, of course, but it was very interesting to see those games. And Change My Mind did beat Wildcard Gaming at the Spring Finals with this composition, right? This was their blind pick almost every single game, and they were able to win that series. I don't know if it's necessarily that easy for Wildcard to beat this with any of their comps either.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I think would be the best answer. I actually kind of feel like a solid answer into this, and I know it might sound crazy, is Windwalker, Frostmage, Resto Druid.
Yep,
yeah, I think so too. I think
Rogue
Mage
Windwalker, like, of course, the Blessing of Protection makes it a little bit scary for the Windwalker, but I feel like with the Frostmage backing you up, if you play well defensively, I really don't think you're going to die against this, and you have a lot of pressure on the Shadow Priest. You have a lot of disruption for the Rogue.
This is okay as well.
I think the Warrior is an okay answer. Don't think it keeps itself up quite as well, but this could easily work for Wildcard Gaming.
Yeah, if I was playing Shadow Priest, I think I would be a bit... I wouldn't be looking forward to this next game being tunneled by a Frost Mage and Arms Warrior, but equally I'm really happy to see Change My Mind experimenting a little bit. They're giving Villi some game time before they go to the summer finals, which will be important.
It's going to be a month before they get some tournament experience, so might be important to make sure that they're not just pigeonholed with Rogue Mage Druid only, given that there's potential for changes, also just meta adaptations over the next month before the finals. And I think that this is a strong composition overall, and it has a place in the meta, so certainly practicing it here when you're up 2-0, experimenting to see what comps it can defeat of your opponents is a good idea. I mean, Wildcard Gaming have very similar compositions to the North American teams, so Wildcard Gaming could be trying to prepare for that, trying to make sure that the Shadow Priest Rogue isn't a better option for them overall for North America's first round.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting as well, because bear in mind, Change My Mind did so good at the Spring Finals with this, and so much so they actually inspired the move Absturge to swap over to the Paladin, swap over to the Druid, and basically copy what Change My Mind had seen success with. I don't think this composition is that far out of the meta. We see when the move does play in North America, they're able to beat these Mage Druid teams. I think they have a fair shot here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Holy Paladin in general is stronger this season than it was when they played it. So I'm going to be watching, and I'm kind of interested to see what actually is going to be beating this comp. I definitely think mages in general is a good answer, but we're going to see. I think Blizzo on that Warrior could definitely go down as well on the side of Wildcard Gaming. So we know what they like to run here. At least last time we saw it, we had Minpoike kind of running that Repentance build with Hammer of Justice. Villi, he was running the Mind Bomb, and then Acro was running a Night Elf Rogue, trying to get saps off of those Mind Bombs. So a lot of their CC chains was kind of a blind to force out the Trinket, and then, you know, Mind Bomb into sap or Hammer of Justice into Repentance, and then offensive Blessing of Protection, and they were able to find a lot of kills that way. So I think I know what Change My Mind wants to do here, but I'm curious to see if it's going to work.
Big crowd control chains, offensive dispel, Maledicts, kill Blizzo, I think is the name of the game, because Mara won't die early on, Looney's not going to die early on, but one thing's for sure, Looney's going to sit through a lot of crowd control, and there's really not too much he can do about it. So I'm interested to see if he's going to play Relentless, or if he's going to play Gladiator's Medallion. I think Blizzo's going to have to, at some points in this game, play very defensive, run and hide, and try to keep himself alive, because Change My Mind certainly will have a lot of momentum off the back of their crowd control. But if Wildcard Gaming can hold on, the consistent damage of the Arms Warrior and Frost Mage should prevail as long as they can survive the initial crowd control from Change My Mind.
Yeah, this is a very interesting pick from Change My Mind. Of course, they were winning with the Rogue Mage Druid. Now they're going to give some field time to Vilai, have Minpoike swap over to one of his ult healers. Really happy to see this, to be honest. If they can win like this, it will be a little bit of style, but moreover, it will be good practice for them, good experimentation. What can Wildcard Gaming do into this composition? Because, I mean, we're not expecting anything to happen to the Shadow Priest, Assassination Rogue, or Holy Paladin. So I think these are three classes that we can rely on in the summer finals if the Rogue Mage were to be hit, and all these teams that are running Rogue Mage, I think they should be kind of preparing for that. It could well happen. People will start to figure out counters. Let's see how this game does go for them. If they win it, they're guaranteed the 3rd seed at the summer finals for Europe.
More and more teams picking up the Paladin, and Minpoike wanting to make sure that his is on point here against Wildcard Gaming, but Wildcard Gaming have gone back to their Warrior Mage Druid, and I think they're likely to play it for the rest of the series. Huge push here on Valet by Wildcard Gaming. That Gladiator's Maledict is a huge healing absorption right now on Valet, fading with 1 second left of it. Minpoike gets Cyclone, Gladiator Safeguard gets stripped off, Valet is still exposed. Minpoike is trying to recover with the Avenging Crusader, and instead of going for the crowd control strategy, they're actually trying to kill the healer. A very aggressive stance from Change My Mind. They have the DR Hammer of Justice. They need to dispel the Safeguard. Valet can't. He's polyed. He does manage to shred it. Huge damage on Looney early on. Every cooldown basically forced from him, but Valet is too far away from the fight, sitting through crowd control. Looney is going to be able to jump back upstairs and recover, but I'm almost wondering if Looney was preparing for that crowd control strategy. Could have been caught off guard and could have been clean swept here in the lower brackets. Change My Mind mixing things up.
Yeah, I really like that push from Change My Mind. If they can do that again, they can definitely take Looney down. And I like that also Looney isn't scared of this. He's still playing very aggressively. Cyclone comes in onto Minpoike. Divine Favor there gets spell stolen in between those Cyclones. Nicely done there by Maru. Going to deny a lot of that healing from the Divine Favor. And another Cyclone here on low HP onto Valet. Looney's been playing quite aggressively so far. Full Ring of Frost secured here onto Acro and Minpoike. Maru really doing a good job here. There's the follow-up polymorph. If you can get a Cyclone out of that, that would be fantastic. But Valet is going to shut it down with the silence, but the dispersion still going to be forced out here. So nice push here by Wildcard Gaming.
Yep, certainly looking good for them. I'm really happy. I agree with you, Zico, that Looney's still playing aggressive. He got scared early on, but I feel like if they just kind of play back and don't really do that much, it's going to be difficult for them in this matchup. Meanwhile, Change My Mind, they haven't really had any offensive pressure for quite a while. We saw one silence coming out of Vilai, but outside of that, they haven't really gone for any particular plays. Kidney shot now on Blizzo, but no crowd control on Looney just yet. His mana's looking good. Now the Hammer of Justice. What's the follow-up? Repentance unavailable since Looney was able to shift that. Maybe a sap, but Sheep's coming in. War Banner coming in. Wildcard Gaming are all over that play, and they're playing a really good game here.
Yeah, it's looking good. Full blind on Looney. He trinkets out into a silence right now. Change My Mind. They're looking to get aggressive on Blizzo, and all it takes is one good crowd control chain. Maru getting the full polymorph right now onto Minpoike. He's forced to use the Divine Shield to keep Valet alive. He doesn't have any defensive cooldowns. Valet could be in a lot of trouble. Minpoike with no trinket, the next polymorph is going to sit full unless Valet can find a Mass Dispel. I feel like one more good setup, Wildcard Gaming could easily close out the game.
At the same time, Vendetta's available, and there's no Gladiator's Medallion for Looney. If they do 100-0 double stun, even going after Blizzo behind the corner makes sense. They're trying to stall while Minpoike sits through a polymorph. He's got no crowd control breakers. Gladiator's Maledict is absorbing a lot of heals. Gladiator Safeguard, where's the spell steal? It comes in, and then Valet is likely to die. Minpoike isn't careful here. He has the ultimate sacrifice available, holding onto it, looking for a Holy Avenger Repentance, speeding up the cast from that extra haste, but Looney not getting caught, shapeshifting it. Now bashing for potentially the kill. Valet so low on health. Minpoike going to use the sacrifice. Fortunately not panic overlapped with the dispersion. If we look at the mana, Looney is actually almost out, and that's definitely a way for Change My Mind to find victory.
Yeah, but Looney is actually going for a drink right now, and I think he's actually going to be able to get it. Maro doing a really good job here, shutting down Acro and Belay here, and yeah, Looney's definitely going to come back with at least 80% mana. Such a big drink, and Maro doing a really good job here, just shutting down Change My Mind. Full polymorph secured onto Mimpoike, and Blizzo is the one on the back foot though. Here comes the Mind Bomb. Acro, what are you going to do? Gets disarmed by Blizzo. Blizzo realizing that if Acro Shadow Melds and gets a sap here, he could be devastating, but Mimpoike, he's going to be able to do so nicely done by Maro. Maro's been doing such a good job, and Blizzo, so right there, they wanted to do the Mind Bomb Sap combo onto Looney. Blizzo disarms it. Then they go for the Hammer of Justice Sap combo, and Maro shuts it down with a Polymorph. And then he re-polymorphs immediately on that Dispel, shutting down Acro completely there. So Acro, he needs to hold on to his Vanish, because that's the only way for him to really stop that from happening. So beautiful stuff there coming out of Wildcard Gaming, and they're going to be hold on.
Yeah, I want to ask you this question, Zico. I feel like in this sort of situation, the Rogue should be playing Trinket rather than Relentless for those exact situations, and that's something we've seen before. Defensive blinds are just so effective against this Relentless, and sometimes Trinket can just win you the game.
Actually, I just realized Acro is a human, so Acro, it makes sense that he's playing the Relentless since he is a human, but playing human in this composition, I feel like doesn't make sense. Usually when they play this, they play the Night Elf. I mean, even Wildcard Gaming are playing around Acro being a Night Elf right now, because he didn't have his Vanish in either of those attempts, so he couldn't even have gone for a sap there. So I completely agree though. If he gets caught up in an intimidating shot like right now, Acro really can't do too much about it. So I personally would have loved to see the Night Elf.
Yeah, I think it would have been good. I mean, Acro's been one of those rogues who has been able to really capitalize on that racial. Unfortunately, not having it in this game might cost him. Polymorph on Mimpoike. Belay getting low. He's in a leap of faith, trying to break Mimpoike out of crowd control, but still, Belay, he's just so low. The bash on Mimpoike. Wildcard Gaming, honestly, a really well-played, clean game. Maro doing a great job setting up his team, peeling when they need to, allowing Looney to get drinks, and I just feel like overall Wildcard Gaming was the better team in game number 3.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the fact that Change My Mind were willing to go for that adaptation, play the composition, but I think there's a very good chance going into the next game, Sid, that we're just going to see the Rogue Mage locked in once again.
Yeah, I think Rogue Mage easily. I expect Wildcard Gaming actually to play Warrior Mage for the rest of the series, given how Game 1 went and then their best map went with Windwalker Death Knight. It's obviously just not their day, or perhaps Change My Mind know the strategy better for the matchup. But in the past, Wildcard Gaming has been capable of defeating them with the Warrior Mage Druid, so there's nothing to say that they aren't fully capable of reverse sweeping Change My Mind. Certainly in this game, Wildcard Gaming were dominant. I feel like they absolutely owned Change My Mind. There wasn't almost a single situation where I'm thinking Change My Mind are winning or getting really good crowd control chains. Wildcard Gaming disrupted them time and time again, and it's looking like the Warrior Mage Druid is going to be their best option.
And Maro had a really good game here as well, Zico. You highlighted it during the game, but I think he deserves some of the limelight here.
Yeah, for sure. Maro had, double Rings of Frost. He got a lot of crowd control in this game, and even here, he's a big reason to why they're able to win it. Looney as well, I want to say, had a really good job, because here he goes in to play aggressive, but immediately goes to bear form, pre-burst, that setup from Change My Mind, and that allows them to get the polymorph into the bash, because Looney is at the right place at the right time, and it allows them to get that kill. So I really like that Looney doesn't get deterred from playing aggressive when he's being the target as well. So Maro and Looney always on that Mage Druid synergy, and they look good.
Yeah, no, they definitely look good. They aren't playing the Rogue Mage Druid, but they are playing the Mage Druid to a top-end level, and the Warrior has been something they've used to beat Change My Mind in the past. I actually almost feel like Change My Mind might have inadvertently baited them into running this Warrior Mage Druid, because now that they've won one game on it, they're a little bit warmed up, they're going to be feeling good, and they could easily take 2 more here and actually reverse the series.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, for Change My Mind, where do they go? I feel like the small maps, especially against the Warrior Mage Druid, weren't looking too bad for them. It was the smaller maps that, were really difficult. So I think the last time these two teams met, Wildcard Gaming ended up winning with the Warrior Mage Druid, but it was off the back of the fact that they won game number 1. So I feel like Change My Mind, they're still in a really solid situation. They can go to Tolvaron Arena, lock in the Rogue Mage Druid, and I still feel like that's one of those matchups that they really should win. I mean, we saw what Method Black did. We saw what Method Black did to Wildcard Gaming. it was a complete blowout.
Obliteration.
Yeah, it was literally a blowout. I mean, Wildcard Gaming was like, okay, well, I guess we're going back to Windwalker Death Knight, but it's just so strange to see now Wildcard Gaming getting smoked by Change My Mind as they play Windwalker Death Knight. Now they have to default back to the Warrior Mage Druid. So there is a significant difference in some of the strategies these Rogue Mage Druids have, and you can really tell that, you know, one team excels at something like fighting cleaves, the other excels in mirrors, and it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but ultimately in this meta, excelling at mirrors is something that's very important. Certainly in Europe, we've got so many Rogue Mage Druids playing it out here in the upper bracket. We will expect to see Daedalus. They might still run the Warlock. I think Alex said he wasn't available on Friday. That was one of the main reasons they ran it. But hey, they actually did defeat Change My Mind 3-1, I believe, in that series, running, you know, Warlock Rogue, Warlock Warrior. And that's where some of our criticism of Change My Mind was born for this tournament. Now they're fighting back. They're still up against Wildcard Gaming here. And Ashermain's full, a larger map. Is this the Rogue Mage coming in again? Probably, right?
Yeah, I think this is the Rogue Mage coming in from Change My Mind. Unless, you know, Fried Kitty took a page out of Alex's book and decided to just go and have some nice fancy dinner somewhere.
Yeah, that was so great, right? He was like tweeting at his partners like caviar or something on his plate, just like the most fancy foods. Like, yeah, thanks for winning the cup for me, guys. I'm chilling over here. Maybe Fried Kitty's doing something similar.
I
Maybe.
doubt it. I think they wanted to try the comp.
I think they wanted to throw a curveball.
I think they also just didn't want to fight Windwalker Death Knight on Dalaran Sewers as Rogue Mage Druid, maybe. So they thought maybe that comp could beat everything or have a better shot against most things. I think it's important that Change My Mind also have options moving forward, because if it ever is the case that Rogue Mage Druid isn't the best comp, then they're going to need something else, because right now the Shadow Priest Rogue and the Rogue Mage is all we've really seen from them. Wildcard Gaming, why would they blind lock Windwalker Death Knight on Ashermains? That was...
Maybe they've done more
Warrior
war games since,
Druid.
and they just don't feel good on the Warrior Mage. Like, after what Method Black did yesterday, maybe the Rogue Mages have just completely figured it out behind the scenes.
Yeah, could be. I still feel like I want to see Looney on the Shaman.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. Like, we haven't seen it once, right?
You'd love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would just be awesome. Like, Cedu has been doing so well with it. And for us, like, we don't know, right? We're not saying it's better, we're not saying it's worse, but if they don't practice it in a tournament situation, even if they've done it in kind of practice games offline, this is a very different reality, as you know, as a competitor yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is. And the thing is, I really liked what Method Orange did. I feel like all three members made adaptations. You had the Windwalker Monk go over to Serenity, which was really nice, as well as playing the Battle Masters, Fortifying Brew, Touch of Death.
Yeah,
so you had
the
these
one-shot.
massive one-shots that you could pull off as a Windwalker. And then the Necromancer's Bargain for the Unholy Death Knight. We saw Mez use that to really limit the amount of frozen orbs the Frost Mage could put out. That really slows down their damage. So I think Mez making that adaptation was really good. And then bringing in the Shaman for, you know, the offensive purges, the big healing cooldowns you have in dampening. I just feel like Method Orange strategy with their Windwalker Death Knight was superior to what we've seen any other Windwalker Death Knight do so far. And a lot of them are trying with just the Serenity, but I don't know if just that one adaptation is enough to consistently take games off the Rogue Mage Druid. I mean, Wildcard Gaming did win 2 games against Method Black, but I can't help but feel like if Method Black kept playing into them, they would have started to win.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know. I almost feel like some of these teams just aren't willing to make changes. With Blizzard as well, like there was that game, I think it was game 2, where they got the trinket from Mimpoike, they had the Serenity, they had the Touch of Death, and then Blizzard just kind of fell short on his own rotation of how he set up his damage, right? Like you called it out, the paralysis, and then he just stunned rather than at least Touch of Deathing before the stun, you know, trying to squeeze in the extra global. And min-maxing is literally what you need against Rogue Mage. Like, we know this composition's strong, we know how hard it is to beat. Sometimes you really got a theory craft like, hey, how do I actually kill this guy? And I mean, sometimes I feel like the teams are falling short. Wildcard Gaming, we know their defense is impeccable and they have put a point on the board here, but it's still an uphill battle if they are to reverse this one and stay in the tournament.
Well, it's one of those things for Wildcard Gaming. It really does come down to Blizzard setting up his offensive cooldowns. I mean, we know consistent damage isn't going to be enough to close out the game until later on in dampening. They really have to make sure they're doing a good job with their crowd control window, with their big burst opportunities, and if they can do that, they can win. I'd love to see Looney play the Feral Affinity. I feel like just that extra offense, although of course it makes it a little bit scarier. You don't have the Moonkin form to fall back on, you don't have the extra range, you have extra damage, and that really is what you need as Windwalker Death Knight. If you let the game go on too long, you will certainly lose.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for Wildcard Gaming. They've got to end the game within a certain sweet spot range of dampening around that 10 to 35% mark. And if they can't get enough momentum in that little window of time, then Zeepai is going to become overwhelmed. Another way that they can develop that momentum during that time is by making sure Minpoike doesn't drink. Zeepai is actually playing pretty aggressive on Minpoike at the moment, using that Escape Artist to break out of Frost Nova, any Magic Shield to avoid being polymorphed. Zeepai is going all out on Minpoike. Wildcard Gaming seemingly are disrespecting Change My Mind's potential by trying to go after Minpoike initially. Crowd control has subsided onto Blizzo and Zeepai for a moment. Ursul's Vortex pulls Minpoike in, and Looney's trying to add some damage into the mix as well, but now he's overextended, and Change My Mind look to punish.
Yeah, beautiful stuff so far from Change My Mind. They're going to get a nice low cyclone here onto Looney as well. So good job here from Minpoike, and now he realizes he's going to be the target, so he's running backwards here on the map, dragging Zeepai all the way to the other side. Fried Kitty now going to secure a polymorph onto Blizzo. Acro is actually going to just go and break that with a sheep shot. Fried Kitty is going to swap over that polymorph over onto Zeepai. I do think that polymorph was DR'd here. Nice ring of feet by Blizzo, but nice counterspell there as well by Fried Kitty. Bash secured by Minpoike. They're going to get the safeguard, dispel that immediately. So far, another low cyclone here. Change My Mind are really heating up in this game here, Adrian.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're doing a very good job in terms of offense. Looney getting caught up in the cyclone there. Very nice plays. Actually, I think that leg sweep from Minpoike might have been diminishingly returned. So maybe a small mistake from Blizzo in that situation. The Abomination, Minpoike not really respecting it. Now he trades out Ironbark. I like that. I think every time Abomination's used, you should just trade out one of your skins if you're being attacked by the Death Knight and there's no peels coming in, just because it lines up pretty well. Death Knight is very scary when he has his Abomination up, and now you can see Zeepai's pushed in. He gets shooped 3 times into Cyclones. Very nice defense from Change My Mind, though their mana is a little bit low than what we've seen in some of the other games. Minpoike is slightly falling behind here, Enrique, compared to some of the other games that we've seen from them in this specific matchup.
I mean, he certainly is, but he has an opportunity to drink, especially Fried Kitty can set him up. And I feel like Fried Kitty, if we see him do what Morrow did in the last game, which is just get out the Frost Novas, get out the Polymorphs when Minpoike wants to. Look at Minpoike right now, he's positioned quite far away. The key as the Restoration Druid really is making sure that your Rogue and your Mage are either getting offensive or getting out lots of crowd control when you go for your Shadow Meld drinks, because Shadow Meld is the only way to get the pet off of you and allow you, unless Zeepai makes a mistake, Shadow Meld really is the only way that you're going to be able to get out of combat and sit down for a drink. So that is the window of opportunity Change My Mind really has and really needs. Right now, we're still 3 minutes away from dampening. Acro, Fried Kitty trying to set something up here. Minpoike, you can see, you got the Cyclone on Looney. What are they going for? Actually, preemptive Frostbolt by Fried Kitty, mistimes it into that Cyclone, and that kind of was a spoiler as to what they were going for. I mean, right now, Fried Kitty pops his Icy Veins, puts a little damage on Looney, but Acro can't get there, so they have to make the swap over onto Blizzo, but I feel like Blizzo's going to be completely safe. I honestly think Change My Mind had the right idea going after Looney, but they just televised it and telegraphed it way too easily, and Wildcard Gaming could easily respond.
All right, Wildcard Gaming with good response, although they're falling behind on mana. Not a good position to be. 4 minutes into the game, 1 minute away from dampening. Certainly success being set up here for Change My Mind, unless Wildcard Gaming can pick up the pace here, pick up the momentum. I feel like in games prior in the matchup, we've seen ice blocks forced around this mark, but I don't think they've even gotten one ice block from Fried Kitty throughout this series. Perhaps they're spending too much time on Acro and too much time on Minpoike. Here, though, Looney is running Feral Affinity, catching Acro in a stun lock, immediately proccing that Gladiator safeguard, along with Minpoike's Iron Bark. With those two cooldowns in tandem, Acro likely to easily recover. Now Blizzo on the back foot has changed my mind. Look to initiate a counter assault. Blizzo has some options in this position. He can either try and avoid damage by using mobility or trade the Touch of Karma. Looks like he doesn't even seem to care. A bit of a disrespect moment from Blizzo, just continuing to go after Fried Kitty, even still so low on health. Looney appears to be trying to get a drink, now coming back into the fight, not able to find any opportunities there. Zeepai with good positioning on his pet, chasing Minpoike and keeping him in combat. But Looney is caught into a polymorph. Good opportunity for Change My Mind to make a push.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to go ahead and attack Blizzo here, but Minpoike getting gripped in this situation. Serenity is active for Blizzo. DR leg sweep. A lot of damage is about to come in, but Fried Kitty shuts it down with a polymorph onto Blizzo. Once again, Looney now in a nice kidney shot here by Acro, trying to make sure that the pressure stays, and no Barkskin is going to be forced in that attempt, but Looney is going to drop a little bit low here in this situation. Minpoike is still not able to find any drinks because he does have those ghouls hitting him, keeping him in combat for now, but the ever-rising tide is ever-rising, keeps proccing for Minpoike and keeping him in the mana lead for now. Now a smoke bomb onto Blizzo from Acro here. Blizzo is not going to be triggering out of this one. I think he has the Gladiator safeguard. They're not even going to proc that. Instead, he's just going to trade out his Touch of Karma. Acro now is going to run away and retreat.
Yep, he's running away. Maybe looking just for a little bit of reset here. If you can get the restart, that would be great. Looney keeps him in combat. Nice Moonfire. I think that's one of the big things you need to watch for as the healer. A couple of things you're always trying to do is snipe totems like Sky Furies, keeping rogues in combat with your Moonfire. Those are the sort of things that the top healers will be looking for. Looney, of course, one of those, though his mana is starting to look a little bit low. Honestly, both teams have been playing more aggressively in this game, I feel, than what we've seen in the past. Minpoike's mana isn't too bad as a result of that, but Looney's is. At 10% dampening, only having 20% is not a good sign for him. Ironbar comes out, he's looking for a drink with this. I'd love to see Minpoike cross the map and deny. Is he going to be able to? He's trying right now, the dash. Zeepai denying him from getting there, and Looney's actually sitting down for a while here, so really nice setup from Wildcard Gaming, and quite frankly, I think that's a huge error from Change My Mind. There was no counter pressure, no reason why they would allow Looney to sneak away, and as soon as a Druid Ironbar actually should know he's going for that play, so I think that's a bit of a mistake from Change My Mind.
Yeah, and it might end up costing them. However, Blizzo did trade out a lot of his defense. That being said, Touch of Karma coming up in around 15 seconds, and that should be enough for him to survive the next attack coming in from Change My Mind. 13% dampening right now. Looney's mana still looking good. Zeepai is getting low. Big Ray of Frost being channeled out by Fried Kitty. What is Zeepai going to be able to do? That's going to be slowed down. Now Zeepai marching towards Acro, looking to get some death strikes. Anti-Magic Cell actually trades also, so Wildcard Gaming, they did use a little bit of cooldowns there, the Anti-Magic Cell and the Iron Bark to stay alive from that attack. Now there's a potential opening here for Change My Mind, but there's no Icy Veins, there's no Vendetta, and I still feel like Zeepai is going to be completely fine for the time being.
Change My Mind.
Looney actually is playing Feral Affinity too.
Oh, getting caught in a Hibernate though. Minpoike with a nice punish on that. Although the most important thing right now for Minpoike is getting a drink. His mana is not in a healthy margin. If it stays like this, Wildcard Gaming have potential to take this to a Game 5, even on Ashermane's fall. Although Change My Mind holding Tolvaron, their best map, in their back pocket. Looks like they're setting up a swap to Looney, trying to punish that Feral Affinity, but Blizzo is there to back him up, using the grapple weapon, removing Acro's daggers and preventing him from poking Looney in the face. But Fried Kitty there with some follow-up flurry damage is enough to proc the Gladiator safeguard, a very important defensive out of the way thanks to Fried Kitty's efforts.
Yeah, and Acro here actually quite low still on HP, but Blizzo is still being controlled up. Fried Kitty has been doing, like you mentioned, a really good job here in this game, keeping everybody kind of controlled, but Acro's safeguard is finally going to proc, and Blizzo is actually running Zuen the Tiger as well. Not sure how you feel about that, Venruki, but he is running that Tiger. Yeah, it just faded, and he's doing a lot of damage right now to Fried Kitty, and he does have his Serenity and his Touch of Death. He's going to go ahead and activate that right now. Smoke Bomb gets dropped by Acro, and Blizzo's going to combo it with the Serenity. Acro, though, vanishing that Touch of Death. If you vanish with the Touch of Death on you and it ticks off when you're in stealth, you actually don't take any damage from it. So Acro, knowing his class to the limits, is going to activate that little niche mechanic there and survive the attack.
Yep, very nice plays from Acro. The Zuen, I think there's also like an Azro trait you can run, right, that procs it sometimes, so maybe it was that from Blizzo, but either way, it's just like added damage, right, for Wildcard Gaming. I think it's pretty nice stuff coming in from them. This game hasn't been going too badly, though I've got to say, I do feel like Change My Mind once again are in the lead here. They've looked comfortable the entire game. As you pointed out, Zika, Acro is just min-maxing the defense of his class, but Minpoike needs to heal him here. He's actually running away. Hopefully there's good communication between the two of them as the Nourishes come flying in. Innovate still available for Minpoike. He trades out immediately. Nice plays from him, just making sure that his Rogue should be able to get topped off here. I'm actually surprised Acro is still low. 30% dampening with Minpoike free healing. He should still be able to heal through it, and he does. Nice plays. Looney going for some aggression here with that Feral Affinity. Stun, damage coming in, but Looney actually gets caught up in the Polymorph. Anti-Magic Zone from Zeepai, 31% dampening. You can see those offensive cooldowns coming off. It's going to be the Vendetta in 15 seconds with no Anti-Magic Zone. I feel very scared for Zeepai.
I do too, but if Looney can get a little extra damage off, look at Acro, he could still be in trouble. I know it looks like Zeepai is probably going to fall here, and he definitely could, but I just feel like at this point, Wildcard Gaming, they're close to taking down Acro. Acro's going to have to hold on for at least another 10 seconds, and I think he's going to have enough time to get the evasion back up. And now, change my mind, they're in a commanding position. Unless Acro just throws or Minpoike pushes in and falls down, it's looking like Zeepai is going to be the one to fall. Full Polymorph snuck in by Fried Kitty. Big mistake by Looney. He looked to push in, and he got caught in a Polymorph, and I feel like this is going to potentially cost them the game. However, the preemptive Iron Bark might be enough to keep Zeepai alive. Now they're going after Minpoike. He's got the Bark Skin and preemptive Iron Bark to stay alive, but he's still in so much trouble. Safeguard procs. Minpoike, can you get away? He does manage to. Fraud Kitty trades out an Ice Block. He needed to keep Minpoike alive in that situation. Really good job, Fried Kitty, with heads-up play, making sure you can keep the roots. The Polymorphs are rolling on Blizzo and Zeepai, but Minpoike didn't top himself off. However, that was a huge throw by Blizzo. The 1/3 yard, or 1/4 yard leg sweep Minpoike, and Minpoike actually trinketed the 1 second leg sweep, so big misplays from both sides. Luckily for Blizzo, Minpoike sort of didn't realize what happened.
Hitting that sweet spot in the match where Wildcard Gaming need to get a kill in roughly the next minute to 2 minutes, and if they can't, then Zeepai is going to be overwhelmed by the consistent pressure. Although they've set themselves up well, Minpoike is very low on mana. Iron Bark, the last line of defense here for Acro, alongside with Feints damage
Acro's
reduction.
dead.
Acro, are you sure? I feel like with Iron Bark and Feints, Looney's trying to kill him, actually. A bit cheeky on Looney's part. He's activating Iron Bark preemptively. Perhaps if Looney can add in some extra damage here towards the end of the fight, he can get a kill during that sweet spot. Big damage onto Zeepai. The Glidier's Maledict absorbing a lot of heals. He's going to trade Anti-Magic Zone right after the Icebound Fortitude. He's cowering into his defense to stabilize. He'd love to be going after Acro or Minpoike, but if he leaves this purple shield, he's likely to die. They get Acro back out of it. They go for the stun. They go for the big hit. There's not much left. Minpoike trying to line up a Nourish, crashing those in from the back line. Zeepai trinkets out of the stun. Fist of Fury from Blizzo gets polymorphed. Unfortunate. Damage has been stalled. Fried Kitty dealing devastation. One more Flurry. Ice Lance proc, but then Venom could close the game out. Flurry connects. Not anything left, and Wildcard Gaming are totally tapped out. Game 4, change my mind, advance.
Yeah, certainly that was the best game there from Wildcard Gaming, but equally that matchup went 0-3 for them. Change my mind are locked in as the 3rd seed as European teams head into the summer finals, and they will be continuing on in this tournament for Wildcard Gaming. We won't see them again until the summer finals, where they will be playing as the 4th seed for Europe.
Yeah, and it looks like they are going to go up against the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. If the Mew Mew Kitty Cats... Actually, have the Mew Mew Kitty Cats overtaken Cloud9 at this point?
We have no idea yet.
North American seeding is incredibly close. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, so the North American seeding is super close, and Cloud9 actually got knocked out of the tournament. So if Mew Mew Kitty Cats haven't already overtaken them, they're definitely extremely close to do so. And considering they won the last cup, I would wager that the Mew Mew Kitty Cats is going to be the team that Wildcard Gaming could be going up against now. Losing 0-3 to a Rogue Mage with that Windwalker DK Druid. I mean, we thought it was still a matchup that was favored towards the Rogue Mage, but we might have to just throw away all our case studies here on this subject and just go with the new formula here. It seems like we might need something new to counter Rogue Mage with, because this didn't work out at all.
Yeah, it certainly did not work out. I think that was a convincing 3-0 for Change My Mind. They secure themselves a top 3 spot in this cup as well. They will play the loser of Daedalus or Method Black, which will be our next series playing out. We're expecting Rogue Mage Mirrors there, unless Warwick comes into play once again. Of course, he did have a fantastic showing on Friday, able to knock down Change My Mind to the lower bracket. If he can do the same again, that would be incredible. But for Wildcard Gaming, this is an interesting conversation, because they're now locked into 4th. 4th since they lost to Change My Mind. You can see they're going to drop below them in the standing. They do still go to the semifinals, of course, but as the 4th seed, look how close North America is. Cloud9 lost already in this cup, meaning that there is actually a possibility today, depending on how results go, that we have a 4-way tie for the first spot, for the first seed in North America, which would be absolutely incredible. M2KC, Method Orange, Cloud9, and the boys could all be completely tied up here, which means whilst we're talking about European seeding, we don't actually know what it means for the teams because everyone's so close in NA.